Hello everybody, welcome to the essays video. My name is Rebecca. I use she, her pronouns. I am a senior in Timothy Dwight College, double majoring in English and African American Studies, and I'm also a Sabrick, Froco and Sabrick this year, as well as an academic strategies mentor.
Hi everyone, my name is Danielle Harris and I use she, her pronouns. I am in Berkeley College and I'm a rising senior where I study history and human rights, and I'm also an academic strategies mentor.
Yeah, so in this video, we will talk about the difference between college and high school writing, the essay writing process, as well as resources here at Yale to support you in your writing.
So the first thing we want to talk about is how college writing is much different from high school. So when you're writing a college essay, you want to try to identify a question and understand what other people are saying about that question and then add your own perspective. So that's the case for whether you're writing a research paper or an analytical paper. These are things that you want to do. And so I'll give an example. In high school, I wrote a paper about Frederick Douglass's speeches, and I basically summarized them and just showed why that he would speak on such a topic. Whereas in college, I was understanding threads throughout his speeches and analyzing to understand how he was using coded language to represent different periods in his life. So it's a bit more complex than just summarizing and taking it to the next level of analysis and answering the research question you pose.
Yeah, totally echoing the idea of another level of analysis. My very first semester at Yale, I took an English 114 class, and in the writing process, I went to office hours and got feedback on my drafts. But then when I got the paper back, I got a B-, and I was so shocked and devastated. I only wasn't devastated, but I was just like, I worked so hard on that. Why did this happen? And it's because in high school, I was used to getting feedback from my teacher on the paper and then incorporating that feedback and then getting an A. It was like, you do what they say, you get an A. But in college, it's much more involved than that. And I think just learning that in college, your writing grows, and it's never going to be perfect, but writing is a process, which Danielle's going to talk a little bit more about here.
Yes, and given that process, you should never try to write a college essay in one sitting. This was normalized behavior in high school, but it's not really normalized in college, wherever you go. And so you shouldn't try to write against a deadline, but to try to accommodate for that deadline. And what I like to do for that is to make what's called a backwards calendar, where I start with the final due date for a paper, and I write down all of the tasks that I have to do to complete it, whether that's coming up with a topic sentence, doing the research, making an outline, and I put specific dates for each of those tasks and then end off with the final due date. And that way I'm accommodating for all of those steps within the timely manner. And so a paper may be due in September, but I may start it in August to be able to write it to the best of my ability.
Yeah, those are such great tips, and I'm super glad that you take care of yourself, because honestly, I had to start telling myself that starting a paper in advance is self-care, because I always hated the feeling of writing it against the clock day of or night before, and especially that feeling of knowing that I could have edited my paper or just like put more of my best foot forward. And so something that I like to do is have a draft of my essay done, if not a week before, at least a couple of days before. That way I can look at it with a fresh pair of eyes and analyze it, have time to take it to the Writing Center, residential college tutor, which we're going to talk more about when it comes to the writing resources here at Yale.
Yes, so we have a few resources specifically targeted towards writing. There's the Writing Center, which is with the Portview Center for Teaching and Learning, and they have drop-in hours where you can meet with a writing tutor. They'll review your essay and give you feedback all within an hour. There's also faculty members and TF, teaching fellows, who have office hours and who are willing to read a draft of your work and give edits as well. Rebecca, maybe talk about residential college students?
Yeah, so another really great resource when it comes to writing are the residential college writing tutors, who, different than the Writing Center, you would submit your piece of writing before your meeting, so they would read it beforehand. And these are typically, whereas for the Writing Center, it's peers, so whether it's undergrads or grad students or other professional students. The residential college writing tutors are typically faculty or just different, people who are, in a little more staff position or faculty. And so for these, and often very experienced writers as well. So it's really cool. But with these people, you can sign up for an appointment with your residential college tutor, or sometimes other residential college tutors have times where any Yale student can meet with them, which is really, really helpful when you want maybe like a senior thesis or a longer piece of writing where you want more in-depth feedback or someone to really take their time and read through all of it. Because in the Writing Center, you often only have, I think, 45-minute appointments. So that can sometimes be a time constraint with them being able to read it as well as get feedback. So they're both helpful based on how much time you have and as well as the kind of help that you're looking for.
Yes.
I've used both and they're wonderful.
I have as well. And if you have any further questions on this topic about writing college essays, feel free to look at the Academic Strategies website and set up a meeting with a strategist who will be happy to give as much feedback as you need.
Yeah. Thank you so much, everybody. Bye.